Hi everyone. Just a short episode. Um, Reason why I'm changing a few things up. I was going to do a full podcast on death, and I will record it, but I'm going to shelve it for a little bit. Mainly because I think current times, I don't think it's suitable topic to talk, even though I do think it's an important topic with Ukraine war, unfortunately, and the devastation, on the people. I just don't feel that it's a right time to release it. Um, like I said, though I do recommend people have open conversations with their family members about plans and about what people's wishes are, because a lot of people don't want to talk about it. So, uh, you know, take at least take that from this conversation I was going to do, because I do think that's important. So that episode is going to be shelved. So just going to do a short one today on I think very poignant for the time, and that's joy and hope in wartime. Like I said, people will probably say, oh, you're in the UK, it don't affect you. It's like war, even, all the ones around the world always have an impact. People don't realise either financially, either sort of, things like immigration, things like support, aid, the billions, a lot of these main countries giving aid to just causes like this, and also, like I said, if you've got dictators and evil leaders in play, it's like, are they going to stop at that country? Are they going to try to go for world domination? It may sound absurd in this day and age, but like you said, so many countries have got nuclear weapons, and you never know. So anyway, I don't really want to talk too much on the negatives, because I think there's enough on the news and things like that. I think you get enough on a daily basis, and I really feel for the people. Of course, like he says, it's not the economies which get, because, economies go up and down, flipping, power changes hands and things like that. But what doesn't change is the damage and the deaths and the destruction it causes on the people. And no matter what war, if you think it's just or not, like I said, all you're doing is basically guaranteeing suffering. And like I said, and I don't think any war is just. But anyway, I'll go to the actual crux of the episode. So we're going to talk about joy and hope in wartime. Like I said, I've just had a brief look. It's a bit hard to pinpoint on specifics, but I've been looking at sort of like history of sort of like times where, there was even on front lines and things like that, there was, history of people like either encouraging sort of, either through music, through, their skills and things like that. They either sort of eased people's suffering, or they, encouraged people, they bolstered confidence and, against, to resist against the oppressors and things like that. So, I mean, I've even been reading about a Confederate snowball fight, because they had, book about a couple of days worth of snow, and they just decided to have this massive snowball fight. And it's like, unfortunately, what people don't realise about wars and things like that, you know, a lot of the people who actually fight in these wars don't actually agree what they're doing, but they have to because they've signed up, you know, to this army or things like that, and some, you know, they have to be on there to deploy, and you know, and you can't judge a war on its people, because the people sometimes, I mean, look at the moment, there's a lot of Russians being locked up, and you know, getting tortured, getting things like that, because they want to protest, and you know, and they're persecuting their own people. So, you know, so please do not think like, you know, all Russians are evil, because that is far from the far from the truth. And like you said, and a lot of them don't want a war. A lot of them don't want, because like you says, you know, there's soldiers being forced to fight, and they've got friends in Ukraine, because, you know, they've been neighbours for years. So it's, you know, it's sad on those. So you have to sort of look at the people and look at these moments and things like that. I mean, I briefly read about that young girl who was singing the Frozen song and things like that, and touched people's hearts. And, you know, it's like, that's, you know, that's beautiful. And, you know, and it's the same thing when you look at sort of like, you know, history and things like that, when you look at people like Edith Piaf and stuff like that. And there's another one which my brain's gone. But anyway, but, you know, and music has been a thing to soothe people, to help them understand their suffering, like I said, and also to, you know, robust sort of confidence and power and things like that. So, you know, so music is, like I said, it's sad times, but things like music, things like you know, media, when you use it right and things like that, and the positivity, it can make a difference. And like you said, and the thing is, you know, I mean, when you look at like the famous Christmas time on, I think it was World War Two. I could be, oh, I don't know, I think World War One. I'm not sure. Sorry, I've I haven't got my tablet with me at the moment. So yeah, because there was that famous time where basically at Christmas they had a you know, like a ceasefire, and like I said, there's been some factual inaccuracies that there was like a football match and stuff like that, but it was more that, you know, they were having a kick about, they were, you know, having passing like smokes, drinks, and you know, rations, you know, what food they had, like chocolate or, you know, things like that, and they just, you know, they had that moment, you know, where they could actually, you know, not be afraid of flipping, you know, being bombed or being shot at, you know, every second on the front line. So, you know, but unfortunately, you know, after that day, they had to, you know, head back and go back to killing each other. And it's like, and that's the thing, you know, unfortunately, in modern society, we deal a lot with sort of like sadness and joy in very close proximity to each other. I've had moments where I've been like happy, safe it, and then you get bad news, or like you said, you know, one story I'll share. Like I said, my grandma, she went into hospital for something unrelated, but it turned out she had cancer, and she was only in there for about 3 weeks before she died. We managed to get her to hospice, so she didn't like die in a ward. But basically, one of my fondest memories of her, because, you know, we always had a joke, we always had a laugh, and anybody who knows me, I've got, a bit of a unique personality, shall we say. And, I always crack jokes and things like that. And one of the things we would do, we had the biggest, honestly, we were all laughing our heads off. And basically, she was on the phone to somebody, and I says, I says, you're not in hospital for this. You're actually going to get a boob job like Jordan's, and basically we all laughed our heads off. And to be fair, it's those sort of memories which stick with you, because I'd rather remember people, in those moments of silliness, joy, happiness, and it's like memories of my grandma. I don't remember. Unfortunately, I was there when she died, and people says, "Oh, it's a beautiful thing." Like, no, it traumatized me, and I know that's different for different people, but for me, the memories I remember is like when I was a small kid. She had an open fireplace, and we used to, cook marshmallows, toast, everything. We had a grill, but we wanted to do it on the fire because, she had an open fire and things like that. And it's like, and like I said, she was a flipping badass as well. Her favourite film was Die Hard. I will carry on this episode. I will admit this is a bit of a odd one because I've had about a couple of different edits, so it's been a bit of a mishmash. And so I do apologise, it's just how it is. Of all the podcasts I've sort of made, I do think this one's the toughest one to do, because I've tried not to get into the specifics of what's happening in Ukraine and things like that, because a lot of other outlets are doing that. I wanted to talk about how there is hope and sometimes even joy out of the most horrific or darkest moments in people's lives. And I went a bit off track, like I said, talking about my personal things, but I do think there's a lot of people who don't want to talk about the dark times in people's lives, because I've had some amazing highs and some really bad lows, and a lot of people have, but but when you think of, compared to a lot of people who suffer a hell of a lot more than we do, we are really blessed that we live in a society where we can actually have opinions, we can actually speak out of things, and if there's something we don't agree with, we can actually let people know. Either it's through song, it's through your words, it's through your actions. And at the moment, there's a lot of people who don't have a voice. Talking about, at the moment, there's reports saying about sort of, the Russian-led media is people are walking out, they are, they're risking their lives to basically say they don't agree with this, because of how Russia's set up and how, the communist regime it is. It's, and if people just think, oh yeah, it's just Russians standing up, it's like, no, they're standing up against the oppression as well as the Ukraine, because a lot of people have family in Ukraine, have friends in Ukraine. They don't want their country to be killing their friends, and like I said, and unfortunately the way Russia set up with their propaganda and literally finding ways to stop any independent journalists who actually will tell the truth. Now people are standing up, and there's been protests aired on live TV for millions to see in Russia, and these are the brave people who are risking their lives to basically. I mean, it might not make any difference, but they're fired up because they want people to not just listen to what they what they are being told by a government, and what is actually happening around the rest of the world, and the impact it's having on them, their futures, and also the futures of neighbouring countries. And it's it's really sad time, and there's like I says, to sort of the to sort of have sort of joy, happiness, or having like some camaraderie, having people together and things like that. You look through history and things like that, when there's people who fight together, and sort of the it's one of the strongest things you can have. It's all linked to things like faith. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but I will pray for future peace for Ukraine. I know that might be naive, but it's just a really terrible time, and unfortunately, like war, it's a cycle, and and if it's not one country, it's another country. I mean, you look at how many wars and overthrown of governments happens, like in a lot of sort of African, Middle East countries and things like that. It's like it's really sad that that there's a lot of people who get born into a world where they see nothing but suffering and war, and I think that makes it more important and more prevalent to try and instill hope in people. Hope that situations are going to change. Hope that people will see sense and stop this suffering. And like I said, and history sort of shows these times where it doesn't matter your numbers, it doesn't matter where you are. Like I said, there's people who have fight emotionally, physically, things like that, with every ounce of their strength. And like I says, that there's people who have sacrificed their lives for free speech. I mean, there's a famous image of this monk who, because they were, from what I were looking at, because they were literally gonna, government was trying to erase their history. And it sounds absurd, but it's happening in other countries, even Western countries now. And basically, therefore, a protest, another monks covered him in petrol and set him on fire while he was meditating. And it's a really sad image, but that person, in his mind, he was at peace. He wanted to make a statement, and not all statements. Like I says, you can protest, you can take a knee and things like that, but sometimes to make actual change, or to make people, actually take action against these terrible things, sometimes things like that have to happen, and I mean, you look at, famous scenes like the image of Tiananmen Square. Sorry, just 1 minute. With the tanks and the man standing in front of them, and it's like, those images of defiance, of fight, it can sort of, it's a timeless image, it's an image of fighting against oppression. Yeah, that one person didn't stand a chance, but it's a symbol. It's a symbol of, linking into hope, into faith, into fight and rebellion. To sort of stand up and sort of say, no, this is wrong. As in sort of countries like here, where there's not a lot, it feels like the public can do. I do think still talking and engaging, and to try and sort of get people to actually understand how big this situation could be, and how impactful it can be to the entire world. I think these sort of things are very important, and like I said, and unfortunately, I think we live in a society where there's a lot of, especially young people, there's a lot of young people who don't seem to have a voice, and there's a lot of people who are now into a certain age, who don't seem to have a voice. They just, carry on their lives sort of blissfully unaware, and sort of, and when you say, what do you like, what defines you, what makes you different from anybody else, a lot of them don't even have an answer. And I really feel for those people, because it's like, there are billions of us. There are billions of human beings, and and even in your neighbourhoods and things like that, you see a lot of people very similar, sort of, they follow like the trends, or they just see things as face value, and a lot of them don't look any deeper, and it's, I really feel for those people, because it's like, even if you don't have an impact in the old grand scheme of life, the fact that you were different, the fact that you actually wanted your opinion to be heard, and actually made things, it can be any form of format, media, could be art, could be literature, could be, anything which sets you apart. I mean, there's people who, who spend their time, knitting and getting clothing for people, in other countries who suffer like cold winters, homelessness, and things like that. There are people who see their own sort of wealth and success as less important, and want to help other people, and those people are, they're the fighters, they're the rebellion, they're the people who actually go against current society. I mean, when you've got these governments where basically, they give like lordships to anybody with like a couple $100,000 to give to a political party, it's like, even when we have nothing, we have a voice, we have an impact, and like you said, and it's all linked. Like I said, this conversation started about sort of, finding, any form of like joy or happiness in wartime. But I think it's sort of it's an old granding situation. It's like, you know, it's helping people see what is actually in front of them, and sort of, you know, getting these independent voices and these people who are willing to risk their lives for you know, for something they believe in, and that is, I think, the most powerful thing in the world. I think that's what we are, you know, put on this earth for. Because, you know, we're not put on this earth to make money, to you know, like I said, we like to have sort of, you know, think that we you know, have an impact on the generations, you know, hopefully find somebody, have kids, they find somebody, have kids, and it's a cycle, and it's a genealogy. But you know, when you look at like these massive family trees, you know, that one person's impact in the grand scheme is a small ripple, but it doesn't make their lives any less lived and any less important, because, you know, if that one person, you know, gets somebody to change their view or opinion, you know, like you know, there's people who fight tirelessly, you know, against discrimination, racism, things like that, and it's like, yeah, and they risk their lives for basically the ignorant, the naive, who have these really horrid opinions of people, to basically make them see what their actions are actually doing. And actually, sometimes their opinions aren't their own, and it's usually other generations. So yeah. Anyway, I've gone a bit on a sidetrack, but you know, talking out loud, I do think it's all linked. You know, having a voice, having an opinion. You know, even if it's for like, you know, a couple of people. You know, this podcast, I've got a small reach at the moment, but I'm still putting out episodes. It's not about that. It's about having something there, having something instinctual, you know. So if it does reach people, and it does sort of, you know, help people have a conversation about subjects which they're, you know, not confident to talk about, then I've done my job. And, you know, and all you need to do, like I said, to make a life worthwhile is just to have a positive impact on somebody. And that's really, you know, and it could be, you know, future generation, could be family, could be friends, you know. And I think that's the main sort of thing for life, the thing I think we all strive for. You know, I think we get wrapped up in, you know, monetary concerns, into sort of, you know, social circles, and how we are, you know, assessed by people. I mean, like I said, you know, people make opinions on somebody in like 2 seconds of seeing them. Not from what they've said, not what they are, not what their personality. Literally, they've made a decision in that small period of time. So it's like, yeah, I think it's just, you know, opening people's attitudes and minds to something different from, you know, what they've lived and what they've accepted. But yeah, I'm gonna end on, like I said, this is a very odd episode. It's gone in different directions, and I hope you've enjoyed this. If not, I do apologise, and the next ones will be a bit more back to the regular programming. But I wanted to end on, I think, one of these statements, one of these sayings, which I think is very relevant, by Ernest Hemingway in 1946. Never think that war, no matter how necessary nor how justified, is not a crime. So take care, everybody, and I will see you soon. Like I said, I do promise there'll be a bit more happier episodes. Like I said, we might do a few like music lists, and I've still got an episode I want to do with somebody about wrestling and things like that. So it's not always going to be these serious ones, but this is a serious time we're living at the moment. So but like I was saying, you need, if you're serious 100% of the time, it's gonna make your life a lot more difficult. So it's having those moments of brevity, those moments of joy, and the silly things. I mean, I act like a flipping 10-year-old sometimes, but that it makes me happy. It makes doing silly shit, and there's no wrong with doing silly shit. So take care, look after yourself, look after your mental health. Like I said, if you know people who suffer from mental health, speak to them, help out, and just say you're going to be there. Even if they say, yeah, I'm fine, just say, yep, if you ever need me, I'm here. And that can make a world of difference. So take care, see you later.